course, the great Earl Anthony. Now, what a week we had here this week in Pittsburgh. A tremendous field, and they lit it up, Earl. They gave us some big scores.
They did, Bob. The scoring was extremely high, very unusual for our format, and especially in the Baker system. Our leaders, 2-in-1 Turbo, they actually averaged almost 215 in the Baker system, which is just phenomenal. They bowled a 300 game. Bob Learn, who has more 300 games than anybody in the history of the game, I think at this point was the anchorman of that team when they bowled 300 game in the Baker system, which is a phenomenal score because we've only had two of those in all the years we've been doing this.
Let's talk about the field now that we'll see tonight here. First of all, in the semifinals, our number 3 seed, Allie Brant Lanes.
Well, this is a pickup team. Nobody knows what's going to happen with this team. The same thing with the team in second, which is Wagner Bowling Supply. We don't know what's going to happen there either. So we're just going to have to wait and see who comes out of that to get a chance to go against 2-in-1 Turbo. Even though both those teams have very fine players, they're going against a very strong team in 2-in-1 Turbo, the leaders. And they're led by Ted Hannas, Bob Learn Jr., who I already mentioned. And this team is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, now this team, our number 1 seed, Turbo 2-in-1, they pretty much dominated throughout the Baker round, and they are, as you called it earlier, Earl, a solid favorite.
They are. They just outscored the field tremendously. They had one set there where they bowled 549 for 2 games, and under the Baker system, this is phenomenal scoring. I expect good scores on the telecast today, Bob, and who knows, maybe that 300 game for $25,000.
You're willing to pay that, aren't you?
Well, I'm willing to watch somebody pay it.
Now, as always, we use the Baker system. It's catching on all across the country, and it's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. You'll see the players. They all have a number on their shirt, and that number is either, like, for example, the leadoff player will be 1-6. That means he bowls the first frame and the 6th frame for his team. The player with the 2-7 will bowl the 2nd frame and the 7th frame, so on down the line to the anchor man, the only player on the team who will bowl more than twice. He'll bowl the 10th frame by himself. And it's a 2-game total pin match, and it's a very exciting format. Stick around and watch it.
Yeah, as we've already mentioned, we've seen 2 300 games here so far this week. And who knows, we may just see another one, and if we do, it's worth $25,000. So stick around. It should be a fun night here at Bowling City in Pittsburgh. Our semifinal match is coming right up, so stay with us, please. By Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide. By Lynn Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. By the Reno Bowling Stadium, offering the $25,000 Perfect Game Challenge. By the ABC MasterCard. Get a grip on your finances with the ABC MasterCard. And by the American Bowling Congress. Pride and service to bowlers since 1895. Make sure your league is ABC sanctioned. Bob Dolan and Earl Anthony back with you from Bowling City Lanes in Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Regional of the Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. This is the semifinal match, and this is Chris Riga, the leadoff man for Wagner's Bowling Supply, the number 2 seed. And a nice start for Wagner's and for Riga.
And that kind of gives everybody a very quick idea that we might have some good scores like we talked about earlier, Bob. The lane condition is such that it's conducive to good scores. The surface is excellent. We're on lanes 45 and 46 at Bowling City Lanes, and the oil pattern is like 10 units of oil for those of you who understand what that means, and on the outside, and 20 units into the middle, and this is just an even crown. ABC lane conditioning, and it's done very fairly and equally for everybody, and if you make good shots, you score, and it just seems like the carry is excellent here, Bob. The pins fall easy. The guys get them in the pocket, and they seem to strike forever.
Yeah, most people, Earl, when they heard us discussing all the high scores we saw here this week, would I think naturally assume that, well, easy lane conditions, but that's not always the case.
No, it's not. A lot of times it's not really the lane surface that determines how well you score so much as the pins, how easily they fall. And for some reason, maybe the kickbacks are real tight here or something, but they do get good pinfall.
Tamaka converts a difficult spare in the first for Allie Brant Lanes. Allie Brant Lanes, the 3rd seed coming into our semifinals, and that brings us to the second bowler for Wagner's, Mark Elliker, 26 years old. A lot of these names in the semifinal match will probably be new to you. Very young teams.
Well, the name they will know, though, Bob, is Wagner. That's a very well-known name in the bowling world, and that's Kent, of course, Kent Wagner and his wife Lisa, who is one of the finest lady bowlers ever to play the game. And they bowled on this team a few times when they sponsored and made the telecast, but they aren't here for this one. I'm sure they'll be joining us later in some of the other qualifying in the regionals.
Well, so far, their club 2 for 2. Martin Bedford now in the second hold for Allie Brandt. And he'll have trouble there.
Brand new pins down there, so these, I mentioned how easily the pins fall. These are going to fall a little tougher than they did all through the week in the qualifying and match play. These pins are right out of the box, and he's going to go cross lane at this. The 6, 7, 10. He tried to slide the 6 pin into the 7. Very difficult shot.
So our first open frame here in the semifinal match, and if you're familiar at all with the Baker system, we do see a few open frames throughout the course of a match. In fact, one of the keys to success in this system is to fill the frames. Teams say if you fill the frames, you're going to be there at the end.
Here's a guy that fills a lot of frames. Mike Taylor, been around a long time, really knows how to play the game. Very steadying influence for these teams.
And the captain for Wagner, and they have come out of the box with 3 in a row. And I guess we'll bring it up again, Earl. We've seen a couple 300 games here this week, and anybody doing it on TV is worth 25 grand. And Wagner's off to a 3 for 3 start.
Yeah, we had one in the Baker system just earlier today, which was really fun. I was standing right behind watching them, and I really enjoyed it. It's fun to watch when the team gets that pumped up, as they do in this format. They were jumping all over the place, jumping on the benches. It was great.
Carl Kenyon with a nice answer for Allie Brandt. Kenyon, their captain, and a strike in the third, which brings us to the fourth frame. Bob Spaulding for Wagner's Bowling Supply out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. They're up by 35 after our first 3 frames. Spaulding lays it down. Brooklyn wouldn't go.
Well, another 25,000 down the tubes. You know, just easy come, easy go, huh? All right, spare shooting has been a little easier this week than, and I think partly because there's a little more oil in the first part of the lane. The ball tends to skid back into the pin. He's going to go cross lane here, a lot of ball speed, kind of hard and straight, just like that.
Picks up the 10, Spaulding does. So after the 3 strikes, Wagner's gets a spare in the fourth. Of course, the $25,000 TV Perfect Game Challenge brought to you by the Reno Bowling Stadium. We still have several opportunities to see it here tonight. Brad Kiszewski, fourth frame for Allie Brandt.
And Brad's a fine bowler. He's got another guy with a great attitude on the lanes, and he kind of keeps the team pumped up. And we'll take another look at that shot and watch Brad. He's a little bit deep in the oil here, and the ball never really grips the lane. See it kind of skidding. Now it rolls, but it's too late. It's too far down the lane, leaving only the 2 and the 8. And this shouldn't be that difficult. It's almost a strike ball spare here. He'll play basically the same angle of the lane, let the ball just cross like a Brooklyn strike. Just like that.
Very nicely done for Kiszewski, the 1990 PBA Rookie of the Year. A spare in the fourth for Allie Brandt. They're out of Lockport, New York, and started the Baker round in 4th place, climbed up to 3rd to qualify here for the semifinals. The anchor man for Wagner's Bowling Supply, John Delp, just 21 years old.
And watch this young man, very smooth stroke, and I really like his style. He's the only left-hander on the team. He really rolls the ball early. He gets it down quick on the lane, but his direction is excellent.
You wouldn't be a little biased toward left-handers in your
Who, me? No way. Come on now.
Beautiful shot by the anchor man, Delp. And Wagner's off to a very quick start here in our first game of the semifinal match. And now here's a familiar name and face to many bowling fans, Pat Healey Jr., the anchor man for Allie Brandt Lanes.
Pat's been around a lot longer than his age would indicate as far as bowling experience goes. He's been just about anywhere you can be in this game, and he's been very successful.
I know I've heard you speak very highly of Pat several times in the past, Earl. You really like his game, don't you?
He's a stylist, and he can keep it in play most of the time, and he's in the position where you want a guy like this. He can handle pressure well, and he tends to make the good shot when you need that good shot.
A Team USA member in both 1991 and 92. Healy, 5th frame. The 10 still stands.
Well, that's just kind of a bad break. The ball was just a little bit behind the head pin when it entered the pocket area, and then when that happens, if you're not lucky enough to carry the 10, it's because it's behind the head pin. I'm sure he's very happy with the release and the shot. Probably playing a little safe there. wasn't real aggressive at the pocket, just kind of made sure he kept it in play. That's part of the reason he leaves the 10. He'll go cross lane, a lot of ball speed, as you've seen it done before. Just hit the pin. You don't have to throw the big hook. Just enough.
He got it. We're through 5 frames of our first game of the semifinal match with Wagner's Bowlers Supply up by 41 halfway through. Some of our other finishers here in Pittsburgh this week, Rick's Liquor Emporium, a nice showing, 4th place, just missed the TV show. And there's Brunswick Rhino Pro 2 and 5th, defending champions here in Pittsburgh. Colonial Lane, 6th place finisher. We'll be right back.
At 10:45 on Prime Ticket.
Second time around now for these bowlers in this semifinal match. Chris Riga, 6th frame. He struck on his first ball. 2 for 2 for Riga. And Wagner's maintains the big lead.
Very unique style there. Let's take a look at the style of Chris Riga. Watch him. He's a very big man, very strong. He just kind of carries the ball to the foul line. Right at the last minute, he kind of throws it out there like he's pitching pennies over a pond, and great results. He's a very accurate player, gets a lot of roll on the ball, a lot of side roll.
Hey, you look at a player his size, Earl, you would assume he's going to knock the heck out of the pins, throw the ball very hard, but he's actually very smooth. Rich Tomica answers that for Allie Brandt Lanes. Tomica with a spare on his first ball in the first, and now the big strike in the 6th. As Allie Brandt hangs close. 7th frame, Mark Elliker, 26 years old, a league average of .215. And a strike on his first delivery. Another one for Elliker. And he pumps his fist as he walks back to the teammates.
And he also has kind of a unique way of bowling. His style is very good. You know, he has a very solid style, but he looks at the pins basically rather than a spot on the lane, where most successful bowlers today pick a target on the lane.
What did you do?
I had 5 checkpoints. I used 5 different checkpoints. So I can make adjustments very quickly. There's a great break for his team. Now he trips out the 4, the 7, and the 10. The last 3 to go. Watch the pin action. Watch the head pin. Go to the sideboard on the left, and the 2 pins in the corner, the 4 and the 7. Just kicks the 2 into the 4, 7, and the 10's the last to go.
Nice break for the team and for Bedford, because if you remember, he opened on his first ball, but answers with a strike. 8th frame, the captain for Wagner Bowling Supply, Mike Taylor. Struck on his first ball. 2 for 2. And Wagner Bowling Supply rolling very well at the moment.
They're not going to let up, are they? Well, this really puts a lot of pressure on the Allie Brandt Lanes team, but thing to remember, it's 2 games, total pins, and they will switch lanes after this game. The team bowling on lane 46 will bowl on lane 45 and vice versa.
And oftentimes we've seen that's one of the keys, is who can adjust quicker to that new lane in that second game. Carl Kenyon, he's 2 for 2. Well, we told you about some of the high scores we've seen this week in Pittsburgh, and these two are picking right up. And Wagner's Bowling Supply up by 45 through 8.
And if you watch the bowlers, they're not all playing the same place on the lane. So that shows you how fair the lane condition is. You'll see some of them between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, some as deep as the 4th arrow or even deeper. But it just depends on how you like the ball to rotate and how much ball speed you have and things like that. Here's a guy that's belling it way wide. So you can see there's a lot of different angles out there, and they're all successful as long as you make a good, consistent shot.
Bob Spaulding for Wagner's.
Here's a look at that. Watch how far he brings this back. He actually crosses the center arrow, the 4th arrow. It's almost out to the channel, and the ball gets back to the pocket. Very hard-hitting ball.
Now 9th frame, Allie Brandt Lanes, Kiszewski.
It's trouble. I don't know what Brad's trying to do there. You can see he looks a little confused, whereas everybody else is pretty much lined up. Brad's struggling a little bit, and this guy is one of the few you would expect not to be struggling because of his experience. He looks like he's trying to go a little too direct with the ball, and it's not holding the oil that he expects it to.
He picks up the spare in the 9th for Allie Brandt. Brings us to the 10th and the 2 anchormen. John Delp, again the young man, 21, the anchorman for Wagner's Bowling Supply.
A lot of pressure for a young guy, 21 years old, to have 4 guys sitting on the bench who've been around a while, I guess, especially a guy like Mike Taylor sitting down behind you, Chris Riga, people like that, expecting you to get up there and come through in the 10th frame when we need you.
Well, he struck on his first ball.
Made a good shot there, and you see his reaction there. What he's thinking is the 8-pin fell. He didn't want the 6-8, which is a pocket split for a left-hander. The ball was a little high in the pocket, just did get the 10 out and the 8, so he was fortunate to kick those out. It could have struck. You never know what's going to happen on that hit. Easy spare for him. He'll use a lot of ball speed, cross lane, always using as much of the lane as possible to make your spares. Hard and straight.
Just like that. Delp's resume includes 3 second-place finishes in PBA regional events.
Well, he only has one way to go, and that's up. He's got a lot of talent. I expect to see him be a winner very shortly. Maybe today.
Well, the way they're rolling it right now, you wouldn't be surprised. First game of our semifinal match. Again, as Earl says, this is a 2-game total pinfall, but Wagner's will have a nice lead after our first. Delp buries it. John Delp, nicely done. Throws some heat on the other anchorman, Pat Healey Jr.
Well, he can handle it. He's been there before.
Yeah, he's used to TV. This is his 3rd TV appearance with the team challenge. A couple of them last year. Looking for his first win. There's one. Healey very smooth, very deliberate.
And a very, very good release. He stays under the ball. He doesn't go over the top. Watch his elbow and his hand stay under the ball right there. That's what makes the ball hit as hard as it does. He doesn't get on top of the ball. You get on top, the ball will bounce when it hits the pins. When you get under the ball, the pins bounce. That's what you're looking for. Tremendous leverage, great rotation. Get another good look at it right here. Keep the elbow in, the hand under the ball, and rotate up the side with the wrist. Just like that. Now that ball, if you were watching closely, you could see it skid. And the reason it skidded is he got a little too deep in the lane. He got into the oil that where he got into a part of the lane that no one else has bowled. Here's a look at it, and watch, he's way inside this time. 5th arrow almost. Look at the ball skid. It's not gripping. It's not gripping. There, it starts to pick up the roll. It's too far down the lane to get back to the pocket. Good players make that mistake. When they make a mistake, it's generally they get deeper or left of their target if they're right-handed, knowing the ball will skid, and it gives them a little more area.
That ends our first game of the semifinals. Wagner's will have the lead as we come back. Take a look at some of our other finishers here in Pittsburgh. Team from Baltimore, Bowler's Alley Pro Shop, made the drive and finished 7th. Youngstown Bowling Association came over from Ohio, played well. S&B Pro Shop finished in 9th out of Detroit, and rounding out the top 10, Yevonite Club from New York. Wagner's Bowling Supply up by 56 after 1. We'll be right back. Bowling City Lanes, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Regional. Game 2 of our semifinal match about to begin in the Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. Game 1, Wagner's Bowling Supply. We told you all about the big scores this week. They threw another one at us, winning that first one, 258-202. This is Rich Tomica to lead off the second game for Alley Grant Lanes in a big hole. Down 56 after the first.
Leaves the 2 and the 8. And again, I don't think spare shooting has been nearly as difficult this week as it has been in some of the other shows we've done, Bob, where the lanes would break down a little more quickly and the ball would tend to hook or skid when the player didn't expect it to. This lane surface is very consistent. And I think that's part of the reason the scores have been higher. The consistency in the surface, and of course, the fact that the oil pattern is very consistent and the ball reacts true to what the bowler expects. He'll go almost to a strike pattern here, this shot, and just hook it into the 2 and the 8. Just like that.
How it should be done for Tomica. You're right, Earl. That's a good point. In that entire first game, we saw 1 open frame, and we usually see many more than that in the Baker.
Not only is this a tough way to play the game, but it's very nerve-wracking, and the players feel that pressure, especially on television.
Riga, the leadoff man for Wagner's, he was 2 for 2 in the first, 3 for 3.
All right, now what's going to happen here is what you want in your leadoff man is a guy that's very consistent with his release and generally hits the pocket almost every shot. And this ball was just a little high. Now here's a look at Chris going to the foul line, and you can see he has a very unique style, but watch the ball when it enters the pin deck. It's a little high on the head pin right there, trips out the 4 and the 7. His players that he's bowling with, when he comes back, they're going to say, did you throw that different or did the ball react different?
Martin Bedford, second frame for Allie Brandt. Very important point there, Earl, that the teammates talk to each other. How's the lane reacting?
Especially when they make the switch that we've talked about. After the first game, they switch lanes. And whoever, as you mentioned, Bob, whoever makes the adjustments the quickest usually wins the match. Even though there's a 56 or so pin difference here, that could go very quickly, as we've seen in the past.
We have seen that many times. Elliker, second frame for the leaders. Boy, and he needed some body language to get that one into the pocket.
And there's a pretty good look at it. Here's a guy that's playing a completely different angle, but watch the ball speed. Tremendous ball speed. The reason being his partner, his leadoff man, remember he went a little high on the head pin? You see the reaction here. He throws the ball harder to keep it from hooking on the back. Gets it light in the pocket and carries the strike. He's a very happy young man. He made a good move.
He's perfect today, 3 for 3. Third frame, the captain for Allie Brandt, Carl Kenyon. He's perfect today also. And he still is.
This is kind of fun to watch. You know, I like this.
They are on their game. They have been all week here. Mike Taylor, third frame for Wagner's Bowling Supply. Again, they came into the second game with a 56-pin lead.
They're not letting up, are they?
Taylor.
Well, there's a bad shot by Mike. The ball got off his hand early. He really didn't have control of that at the bottom of the swing, and you can see him with the rosin bag in his hand right now. He's wiping the perspiration off his hands and a little bit off his forehead there. But that ball just came off his hand early, and then when it comes off your hand early, it creates early friction and then hooks early, as you all know. Left the baby split, 310. He tried to fit the ball between these two pins going cross lane. Got a hook, just like that.
Field goal. Nicely done for Taylor.
Almost didn't get any. Watch how close he comes to missing both pins.
But he got them both. Taylor with the spare in the third. We're through 3 frames of our second game of the semifinal match, and it's still Wagner's Bowling Supply up by 54 now. Stay with us. Down by 54 now as we begin the 4th frame of the second match of the semifinal. Kiszewski found the pocket that time.
And that's the Brad I remember seeing bowl before. That's the guy that gets it way out there in front of him, the great knee bend, the good extension, long reach, and good control of the ball, and generally in that pocket area with a lot of power. That's why he was Rookie of the Year 3 years ago on the PBA Tour.
Bob Spaulding, 32 years old. 1 PBA regional title. 4th frame for Wagner's. Brooklyn and the 10s there.
This is the only spare the players have had trouble with that I've watched, and I've been watching most of the tournament. The tendency here is to be a little lax with the release and let the ball kind of skid off the lane into the channel. So you have to be careful because of all the oil. There's a tremendous amount of oil in the lanes this week, and if you're not careful, it'll slide right by. Perfectly done.
Well, we've mentioned some of the big scores we've seen this week, and here are some examples. A 300 game, high qualifying game by Mike Wheeler from Baltimore. 290, 286. Look at these averages. Tom Baker, 240. That's almost unheard of in the Baker system.
Well, that's in the qualifying round. So he averaged 240 for 6 games of qualifying in a team event. That's pretty hard to do.
Pat Healey, anchor man for Allie Brandt Lanes. That hurried, but the 7 won't go.
Pat's not real happy with that. He thought he made a good release and a good shot there. And again, he switched lanes. He's not really familiar with what's going to happen there. It's his first shot on the lanes. In the 10th frame, he'll be a lot tougher on that lane. This shot here, Pat's got to be careful with. The corner pins, like I mentioned, they're the tough ones this week. You can't let this slide by. At Tennessee's let it slide by to the right of the pin. Hurry. Oh.
There's Tom Baker again. He bowled very well here this week in Pittsburgh. 745, the high qualifying series. Mike Gordish of Detroit right behind. Boy, it was fun to watch this tournament this week, Earl. They were all right on their game and they had the crowd yelling.
Yeah, and the enthusiasm. You're right, Bob. The enthusiasm was great. Everybody gets involved. Here's a good guy to style yourself after. Watch the balance, the long extension, and the result.
You betcha.
If you're a left-hander, you might want to watch somebody like that.
Maybe that's why they got him in that anchor hole. The young man on the squad, and he's the anchor man and doing the job.
You see how balanced he is? He can stay right in that position at the foul line. The heavy end-over-end roll, which means he's got good control of the bowling ball. He knows where it's going. And there's the result.
Back up for the last time around now for Allie Brandt Lane. 6th frame of this final game. And they're still in a big hole, down 45.
Very powerful release, this guy. He's fun to watch, and he has a very unique style. He kind of what they used to call figure eights the ball. He gets his hand under it in the backswing and then rotates it around the side. And here's a look at it. Watch the cup. See, the ball is actually behind him. His hand's under it, and then he brings it back around. That's the figure eight. Very strong. He's got forearms like Popeye. This one will get there in a hurry. Oops, there's the mistake we're talking about. That's a disaster at this point.
That may have slammed the door shut. That's only the second open in the semifinal match, but both of them on the Allie Brandt Lane side. And now Riga can do some real damage here in the 6th for Wagner's. Riga is perfect today, 3 for 3.
A little different release there. I don't think he liked that one. That one he stood up at the foul line and actually yanked the ball left. He got it well out on the lane. I don't think he expected that. I don't think he wanted to stand up at the foul line. Watch him at the foul line. He'll come up off his knees and stand straight up, and that makes him pull the ball to the left. See him coming up? He's coming up with the ball. Here's another look from behind. Comes up with the ball, and it goes left. Straightens out his left leg.
But he converts in the 6th. For Wagner, 7th frame, Martin Bedford and Allie Brandt Lane's starting to run out of time.
Strange things can happen in the
Boy,
Baker
we've
system.
seen it too.
4 frames to go. There's still room. You never know. They have to throw some strikes. Well, this particular spare, there are several ways to make it, several ways to miss it. And the ideal position to hit it is to the right of the 6 pin. And, of course, the ball will take out the 10, and the 6 will take out the 9.
Bedford, 25 years old, described to me by one of his teammates as always in control. Very unassuming, very quiet, doesn't let things bother him. I wonder if that just did.
I think that one did. That was, I think, the end of the match for his team right there. He has to make this spare, and you see the ball sliding by, and then starting to roll, but way too late. Not quite enough of the 6 pin to get the 9. And that really relaxes your opposition and gives them an opportunity to jump on you a little bit.
Mark Elliker.
Hard and straight.
He's 3 for 3 today.
They're getting a little careless here toward the end there. They might feel that they've already got it won. They can't let it get away from them now. The last 2 players for this team have hit the middle of the head pin, and it could have been big splits. Here, only the 3 pin. Excuse me. Yeah, only the 3 pin. Very easy spare. Us being a left-hander here, I always call them backwards down there. Got a hook. There you go.
Elliker converts in the 7th for Wagner's bowling supply. Look at these numbers. 1275, a high team game this week here in Pittsburgh. from the club from Youngstown, Ohio. Right behind 1239, Wagner's Bowling Supply. We're watching them roll up some big numbers right now in the semifinals. They now lead by 66, and it looks like they're heading to our championship game, but we'll be back to wrap up the semifinals in just a moment.
World. Learn how to maneuver small boats in tight quarters and large ones where inches count. Read about major regattas like the America's Cup and the latest developments in professional sailing.
Guys ready?
If you want to improve your sailing performance, you should read Sailing World too.
Call 800-752-2577. Subscribe now and get 12 issues of Sailing World for only $12. Order now.
Carl Kenyon, the captain for Alley Brandt Lanes, 8th frame, and a big, big hole. Kenyon, though, is 3 for 3 so far today. And I know we've seen a lot of things happen in the Baker, Earl, but
Not now.
you're right.
I don't think so now, Bob. It's I think what's happened here, it's gotten to the point after the 2 missed spares where there's just a big mental letdown to the team, and you just get drained. All the adrenaline's gone, and you get drained, and now you just kind of want to get it over with.
Want to go back in the bleachers and watch the championship match.
And you can see the camaraderie between the players. The 2 teams kind of joking back and forth. They know it's basically over, and they're saying to each other, nice bowling, and maybe next time.
But even though this match is over, the Wagner's club should start thinking ahead to the next game and keep their concentration, wouldn't you think?
I would
Instead of
definitely think
relaxing.
so. They should be, what they should be doing is looking for something on this lane that can line them up for the next match. Of course, there will be some practicing done so that the lane changes will happen. As the other team comes on, they get some practice balls. And when they take their practice balls, it'll move the oil a little bit, and it could make them tougher, could make them easier. You never know.
This is the 3rd stop in the 1993-94 Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. Of course, we started in Los Angeles. That was won by the Bowlers Journal Club. Went to Denver after that. A team from Milwaukee won Denver. Saz's Barbecue Sauce. And this is our 3rd stop, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And what a job the crew here at Bowling City did here all week. They're the owners, Bill and Nadine Haney. Great people.
This is one of the more popular bowling centers in the Pittsburgh area. This place is just jam-packed all the time. At 3 o'clock this morning, they had 50 lanes going. It gives you an idea how busy it is.
Were you here?
No, but I was talking to the manager.
Somebody told you that.
He said they had to get them out of here so they could get the tournament going again.
9th frame. Wagner's Bowling Supply on their way to the title match. This is Bob Spaulding. He's had 3 top 5 finishes on the national tour. Well, if there's ever a good time for that, I suppose it's now.
Yeah, he'll just try to get 2 of these. He won't do anything foolish, hopefully. And you get a look at this. Watch this ball hook. Comes off his hand right at the bottom there before he could get it out in front. You have to get the ball out in front of you a little bit on the upswing, and you can see it hooks early and goes through the head.
They're bowling well, but I'm not sure they deserve that pin to fly over, knock over the 2. Pat Healey will wrap it up for Alley Brandt Lanes. Boy, Healey's got to be a little frustrated. As we talked before, this is his 3rd time on the TV finals, semifinals or finals in this National Team Challenge and World Team Challenge, and he's still going to be looking for his first one, his first victory.
And generally, it's not because of Pat. He's bowled very well. And this kid's tough. He's got a great future in the game. Still an amateur bowler. Remember Team USA, 1991-92. Runs a pro shop. Well, this is a chance for Pat to show off a little bit. He'll try to pick this up for us. There's 2 ways to pick it up. It's really a washout. It's not the split, because when the head pin is standing, it's considered a washout. He'll try to, he has an option of sliding the head pin into the 610, or he can go between them.
There's our sweeper results from this weekend here at Bowling City, and the sweeper and many other activities this weekend organized by good friend Buddy DeLuca. Worked hard all weekend for this event. Sweepers are a lot of fun to watch. Everywhere we go, Earl, with this series, they run the sweeper, and it's a lot of fun.
It's fun to watch, and it's great for the players. Gives an opportunity to pick up some extra money, and as you can see, quite a bit of extra money, a couple $1,000.
Nice
That'll,
pocket change.
not a bad day's pay.
John Delp's going to wrap up the semifinal match for us for Wagner's Bowling Supply. 10th frame for Delp. He has bowled very well in the semifinal, as have all his teammates. It's going to be Wagner's moving on to the finals. A reminder, some of our upcoming events on this World Team Challenge Series. Next, we're going near Chicago, Vernon Hills, Illinois, the Hawthorne Lanes at the end of October. After that, Oklahoma City, Boulevard Lanes, November 13th and 14th. We move around the country with the World Team Challenge Series. If you'd like to get your team in, call early. They fill up fast. Call Tom Bodeker, 414-423-3415, and Tom will help you out. Get your team entered. We'll be back in just a moment with Around the Bowling World as Wagner's Bowling Supply defeats Alley Brandt Lanes in the semifinals. Stay with us.
The Bowling World, brought to you by Lynn Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of better bowlers worldwide.
The American Bowling Congress Hall of Fame Board recently elected 7 members, including international medalist Bob Hart of Columbus, Ohio, and former ABC Executive Director Roger Tessman of Florida. The 56-year-old Hart gained national exposure in the 70s as a member of Detroit's famed Stroh's and Goebels teams, winning 3 ABC titles. He went on to international stardom with 5 titles at the 1974 Tournament of the Americas. And he now competes on the PBA Senior Tour. Tessman served the sport at every level, including secretary of the St. Paul, Minnesota Bowling Association. He joined the ABC staff in 1961 and was elected Executive Secretary Treasurer in 1982. Tessman retired in 1989, but he remains active as the president of the FIQ. Also elected to the Hall's Pioneer category, Lafayette Allen of Detroit, Sidney Celestine of Chicago, Eric DeFreitas of New York City, William Hall Sr. of Omaha, and Maceo Seitao of Los Angeles. The induction ceremonies will take place on the ABC Tournament Lanes in Mobile, Alabama this March. Several ABC records were established during the 92-93 season, including the Golden Harvest team's 14-10 game rolled in the Illinois State Tournament. The team members in their individual games: Gene Vincent, 289, Jay Small, 279, Jim Jenkins, 299, Todd Courtwright, 266, John Polly, 277. Jeff Phipps of Salem, Oregon, also made the record book by averaging an almost unbelievable 247.89 per game for 66 games in the Capital Classic League. Amazingly, Phipps used the same ball for the entire season. The 10-pin tattler, Sam Weinstein, recently started his 59th year covering bowling on Chicago's WGN Radio. The ABC Hall of Famer is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest running radio program of any kind with the same writer and host. Now let's take a look at our upcoming World Team Challenge events. Coming up next, our championship match. At stake, a trip to Reno, Nevada for the Grand Championship. #1 Turbo 2-in-1 grip against number 2, Wagner's Bowling Supply. Stay with us. Our number 1 seed, Turbo 2-in-1 Grips, will begin against our number 2 seed, Wagner's Bowling Supply out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And leading off for Turbo, Kerry Kreft, just 21 years old, but described as a very aggressive bowler.
Well, this should be a great match, maybe the best match we've had so far this year. These are two very, very aggressive teams. All the players in these teams are fierce competitors. And the scoring, it was very, very obvious what Turbo 2-in-1 Grips did, and they qualified third through the original qualifying rounds of 16 games. In the Baker system, they averaged 215, which is unheard of, but only won 4 out of 9 matches. So look at it that way. All 3 of the teams that made the telecast won 4 of their 9 matches. So you can see how competitive it was during the Baker system. And there's as you see on the right there, just look at that, almost 215 average in the Baker. That's phenomenal.
It really is. Chris Riga to lead off for our number 2 seed. And he struggled a little bit on this lane here, Earl. Match play records, as Earl was just saying, all 3 of our semifinalists and finalists 4 and 5 in the match play round. But there's the big game from Turbo, a 300 game in game number 14 of the Baker round to vault them up to number 1, and that's where they stayed after that 300 game. You see Wagner started number 1 and stayed right near the top all the way. Riga converts the spare, so 2 spares to start our championship game.
I don't think either team's going to be able to just throw a few spares here and there and do well in this match. You're going to have to be on your toes and be very aggressive, because I think Turbo 2-in-1 is going to be very aggressive. They're going to come out of the gate looking to throw nothing but strikes. And this is a tough team.
This is Kurt Pilon, another 21-year-old.
Watch him throw the ball. Oh, boy, can he hook it? This guy, he's so strong. His wrist, he just rotates so much up the side of that ball, and that one there, he got out of his hand just a little bit too quick, and I've talked about that many times. What happens then? It goes left.
It's a very interesting team because they begin with a couple of 21-year-olds. Their next bowler, Mike Gordish, is only 23, but then they get to the 2 established stars. Yeah.
The over-the-hill game.
Hannes and Learn. I didn't say that. You did. Pilon converts in the second for our number 1 seed. And back to Wagner's Bowling Supply. Mark Elliker had 3 strikes in the semifinal victory.
Many times the advantage goes to the victor. In other words, what I'm saying is we had a match already, and you folks all watched that, and you saw this team beat Ali Brandt's bowling lanes. And when they did that, they got more comfortable on the lanes. They got the chance to bowl 2 games under the television lights and things like that. And sometimes that's an edge.
Well, he didn't like this from the moment I let go. Watch his reaction.
Yeah, watch where the ball goes. I mean, he's about 5 boards left to where he's trying to hit there. Barely got the head pin and almost got the strike. Probably feels like he was let down there. He didn't get the 3 pin to fall down.
Nothing but spares so far in the first game of our championship match.
You can see there that this team is relaxed. They've already won 1 match, and look at the difference in the expressions. You saw the smiles on the faces there. You can see how stern he looks. He looks a little nervous, a little uptight. This is his first shot on television. Big difference. Frame of mind is always a key in this game.
This is Mike Gordish, just 23.
Got a good break there, leaving only the 2 and the 8. This is proven to be a fairly easy spare all week long. Try to pick it up off the strike line and just let the ball hook into the 2.
Well, his captain, Bob Learn Jr., tells me, Earl, that he is the best, Gordish is the best spare shooter on the club. Which is one reason I have him in the 3. Yeah.
Let's pull for him here. Hate to see anybody miss spares. Hang on.
There you go. Very well. Third frame for Wagner's Bowling Supply, the captain, Mike Taylor.
And Mike, he always looks like somebody just had to wake him up to get him up there to take his turn. You ever look at him? Mike, he looks like he's kind of half asleep. Oh, it's my turn. Okay, I'll go up and get a strike so I can go back and take my nap again here. Very cool and calm, very deliberate, and very successful when he rolls the bowling ball. Got a break there.
That could have been trouble.
Just got the 6 down, leaving only the 4 and a 7, and this will be an easy spare for Mike. He'll go cross lane with a lot of ball speed. You don't want to mess with that oil in the middle. You want to just go right through it with a lot of ball speed so that you don't worry about rotating the ball or anything like that. Let's see what Mike does. Looks like he might be playing it on the left side. Yep, he is. He covered it.
All spares so far. We're through 3 frames in this first game of the championship match, and we're deadlocked. Recent results from the FIQ WTBA European Zone Championships held in Sweden. The gold for the men to Finland. Sweden, the host club. The silver in Belgium with the bronze. And then the gold for the men's masters. Gentlemen from Germany taking home the gold. Men's singles, Patrick Bowman of Sweden, gold medal winner. We'll be right back. There's a very familiar face, Ted Hannes.
Well, not familiar with the beard.
That's true. That's the new look.
It's the new look, yeah.
But Hannes, 3 PBA national titles in his career, 36 years old and filling the 4th frame for a turbo 2-in-1 grip.
And a very unique style. Very unique.
But it sure seems to work.
I've only seen one other bowler with that kind of a foot pattern or footwork pattern to the foul line. That's Harry Smith, the Hall of Famer. Look at him walk left, crossing his feet, one in front of the other, and then throw the ball back to the right, which is against all the principles of good bowling. And you know, no one would ever teach anyone to do that. And don't try to copy that. You might get hurt. But it works for Ted.
Yourself, it looks
right.
like.
It works for Ted Hannes.
Bob Spaulding in the 4th, and he answers.
Well, it looks like everybody's getting warmed up now. Here comes Mr. 300. Do you know who that is?
Boy, isn't that something? And we had a couple of 300 games this week. He was involved in one of them. His team rolled a 300 earlier today.
45 sanctioned 300
That's
games.
unbelievable.
Watch, you'll see the ball. You'll see why. Watch the rotation on this one. He got it back from nowhere. Almost got back to the strike. Look at the look on his face.
45 300 games. That's incredible in his career.
It is incredible. And watch the rotation. He gets tremendous wrist rotation. You can see the cup wrist. He gets up the side. He doesn't spin the ball. That's all roll. You can see the rotation as it goes into the pin area, and that's what keeps the pins low and creates all that carry power that he has. He's also an excellent spare shooter. He thought he made a good shot there and thought he could have gotten the strike. He expected it to hook a little more.
And now the other anchor man, John Delp. It'll be interesting if it comes down to the anchorman, Earl. 21-year-old Delp against the veteran Bob Learn Jr.
Yeah, and 2 completely different styles. Not only because one's left-handed and one's right, but he goes real straight. John goes down the boards and a lot of ball speed and keeps the ball in play. Whereas Bob Learn likes to hook it a lot.
He can't believe that's still standing.
Well, look at the last pin to go, and that's the key. The last pin to go, and you'll get a look at the 8 pin. Watch the 8 pin, which is the second pin from the left in the back row. See it? Standing, and just went down. So he had the 6-8. He's fortunate it fell. Look, and you can see him.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
hook, don't hook. Whoa.
You got to give him some room out there after he throws it. We're through 5 frames of this first game of our championship match.
Well, now's when we should see something happen. The bowlers have all bowled 1 frame. They're a little bit more acclimated to watching that television camera. And now they should have the opportunity to be lined up and make better shots.
That's something. They've matched each other frame for frame, shot for shot. They're dead even. 6th frame. Carey Krepp buries one for Turbo.
Here's where we might see it happen. Now you got to pay attention if you're bowling out there, because you don't want the other team to run away and leave you behind. 2-game match, total pins to win the championship.
Now Riga for Wagner's Bowling Supply.
That shows you the talent on these teams, how quickly they adjust to the lanes.
We're still tied, dead even, after 6 frames of this first game of our championship match in Pittsburgh. Stay with us, please. Through the 7th and 8th, and we are still dead even. A couple of spares in the 7th, a couple of strikes in the 8th, and now we're in the 9th frame. Ted Hannes for Turbo 2-in-1 grips. Reminder, this is our first game of our championship match. 2-game total pinfall, and we're still even. We've been even since the first ball. Hannes. There goes the 10.
Here's another look at it. Now watch what happens to the 5-pin, which is, as you know, the one right behind the head pin. Get a look at the 5-pin. Goes to the side, misses the 7. The head pin comes all the way across the lane, takes out the 10. Could have been a real bad break. Could have been a strike. Ends up with an easy spare for Ted Hannes.
Hannes the spare in the 9th. So the spotlight now on Spaulding. Bob Spaulding. 9th frame for Wagner's Bowling Supply.
Chance to take the first lead in the match right here. And get into that lefty for anchor, and they could really put some pins on the board up here. They could take a 20 or 30 pin lead.
Big ball for Spaulding.
Well, what looks like to me, Bob, and we've talked about this in the past also, is that as the oil moves, you know, these guys throw these bowling balls down there and it picks up the oil and moves it around on the lane. And when that happens, it changes how the ball is going to react. The oil gets farther down the lane in some spots and not quite as far in others. And then the bowlers have to adjust to that change. And as they do that, it takes a little time. And right now they're going through an adjustment period. And I think after they get through this game, they probably will start shooting the numbers that we expect. Let's see if Bob Learn makes an adjustment. Remember, this guy is very experienced and very good under pressure. And his last time up there, he was light. Didn't quite get back to the pocket. Let's see if he gets a little more on the ball this time and try to hook it back a little harder.
And we're still tied as we enter the 10th frame. Here's Learn.
Yeah, he made the move, but now you can see he doesn't believe that ball. You can see the look on his face. I can't believe it hooked that hard. Last time it didn't get there. This time it hooks a little earlier. He was a little slower with the ball speed. Right here. He didn't really get the ball speed that he did on the first shot. And then he hit it harder, which made it hook more. And the ball went high, leading only to 610. This is a tough spare. Cross lane, try to get both pins with the ball.
Oh, my.
Well, the first break in the match, one way or the other. And it goes against Turbo 2-in-1. And here's another look at it. He's trying to really throw almost a backup ball, a reverse hook. But the ball does turn over a little bit at the end and just slices the 6 off the 10. And this is an opportunity here for the left-hander to get a couple of strikes and extend their lead from what is right now 13 pins up to possibility of 23.
He could sure do some damage here.
Well, he almost gave it right back, and he might. Not an easy spare here. He leaves the 2 and the 4, and this could be the same result we had on the 610. So this is an opportunity for this guy to really pay attention here, concentrate, make this spare, because the guys sitting on the bench are also thinking exactly what I just said. Don't chop the 2 off the 4. Got to hurry.
Look out!
And he makes the mistake the other way. Gives it too much room.
Can you believe this? We have literally gone shot for shot through this first game. We're through one of a most interesting first game of our championship match, and we are right where we were when we began, dead even. We'll be back to decide things with the second game right after this. At that TV perfect game, we're $25,000 from the Reno Bowling Stadium. We are down to the final game of the championship match. We're dead even. Chris Riga for Wagner's Bowling Supply. Now remember, they have changed lanes here for the second and final game.
And remember what they shot on this lane in the opening match, right?
258.
Not bad, not bad. So I think 2-in-1, Turbo 2-in-1 Grips has their hands full at this point. I think they picked the easier of the 2 lanes, what they felt was the easier of the 2 lanes, the left lane to start on, and there's a big mistake. Opening the last game. There's a lot of things going on out there. The oil's moved. I've told you about that. As the oil moves, the lanes change, the ball reaction changes, and here's a look at that. He didn't expect this ball to hook. Right there, it grips the lane and hooks. And the other is that they're bowling for the championship. There's a lot of nerves out there. There's a lot of sweaty palms. and it's on national television. That adds a little bit to it. The hearts are pumping a little bit. A little harder to make a good shot when you're nervous.
Here's Kraft. Big strike for Turbo, as Kraft follows the open by Wagner with a strike in the first.
Usually what happens for a good bowler, when these guys are all good bowlers, if not great, some of them, what'll happen is they'll make a mistake left. And by that, and the way they'll do that, two things will happen. They'll get to the foul line a little too quickly with their feet. They'll straighten out the left knee, and that makes you pull the ball left. Very seldom will a good bowler make a mistake too far to the right. He'll almost always get the ball back to the head pin. The problem is he'll get back to too much head pin.
Elliker will leave the 10. So the tide slowly turning now for the #1 seed, Turbo.
Got to fill the frames. Can't afford any more mistakes. Those really take the heart out of a team if you miss spares.
And Elliker converts the 10. Now Turbo working on that strike in the first. This is Kurt Pilon. He's 21 years old.
He's too young to be afraid. You know, he doesn't, you know, they just get up there.
You
These
learn
young
that.
kids, they just get up there free, loose, and easy and let it go. They're going to be around forever anyway, you know. They're going to have a lot more chances to win one of these. If they don't win it today, I'll win it tomorrow. Piece of cake. It's like that. Boy, he ripped them up. Not quite enough to get the 10. But you see how relaxed these kids look? You know, the guys that look nervous are the guys in their 30s.
The veterans, yeah.
They standing over there. You get a look at on the bench, and you get a chance over there in the end over Mike Taylor sitting there. He's blowing on his hand, and the other guy's got his thumb in his mouth. He's thinking, God, the pressure. I don't know if I can handle that. Here's a kid up here, 21 years old, makes it look easy.
Oh, there's a lot at stake. Trip to Reno, of course. Participate in the Grand Championship as Pilon converts the spare. And, of course, third frame now as we take a look at an upcoming event in New York, Philippine National Qualifying Tournament. The Philippines will have a team in Reno next June, and that's where they're going to determine their team. October 30th and 31st. Call that number for more details. Mike Taylor, third frame for Wagner.
A little bit of an unusual leaving only the 4-pin for Mike, and normally on that hit, with today's bowling balls and today's rotations, it'll be a strike. Now watch the ball. It's way behind the head pin, but watch the head pin go to the wall, kicks out everything, doesn't quite make the roundabout side spin to kick out past the 7 and get the 4. Normally that'll be a strike. Pay attention on your spares. Got to fill frames.
So Wagner, on the same lane that they rolled a huge 258 game in the semifinals, has started this game with an open and 2 spares.
Strikes are few and far between for both teams at this point.
After a week long of big scores, we're looking at a low-scoring championship match, but a very interesting one. Still very tight. Gordish in the third for Turbo.
Almost got the back door on the 2-pin there. This is kind of a unique release for him. This is not his normal release. He tried something different here. What he did, he kind of what we call fan the ball. By that I mean he didn't lift this ball. He tried to let the friction of the lane grip the ball and turn it into the pocket. So he just kind of let it off his hand nice and smooth. Let's see how he does on the spare. Only the 2-pin. Now we're going to take a look at that release and watch when he gets to the foul line. He doesn't lift on this ball. He just kind of lets it fall off his hand. You won't see any big rotation. It just kind of lets go right at the bottom here. Not really. See how his hand just kind of opened up and he just kind of let go like he was going to shake hands with somebody. Not any lift there, not any rotation. He tried to make that ball skid 50 feet and then pick up friction on the back.
Turbo up by 12, fourth frame. Bob Spaulding.
Well, he's got the baby split, just the 2 and the 7 for a right-hander. This is not that hard a spare. He'll try to get the ball to cross in front of the 2-pin, hit the 2-pin, the ball will take out the 7. So you want to get this with this spare, both pins with the ball is the easiest way to make it. Everybody's struggling a little bit. Oh, be careful.
Look out. Oh, he got it.
He got it. He knows what he's doing. I guess we don't.
Yeah. So we finally have a leader in our championship match. It is Turbo 2-in-1 Grip. They're our #1 seed, and they lead, but still very close. Up by 12. We'll be right back. Wagner's the 6'10", and if this looks familiar, it should, as he chops off for the second time in this game, and Turbo 2-in-1 Grips has now taken a 36-pin lead as Riga on the bench. Twice in this game. That same shot. This is Elliker for Wagner's, and a big strike for Elliker.
Well, the bad part is, and Chris Riga, I know, is feeling really down right now, but he shouldn't, because it's a team game, and he's done the best he could. He's bowled his 2 frames. He's all done. All he can do now is sit on the bench and not sit there like he is right now with his head down, but he should be trying to get his team pumped up and get back in this match, because it's a long way from over.
This is Pilon in the 7th for Turbo.
He's going to like this one.
He sure will.
That's the first guy that I thought was lined up properly on that lane. He really rolled that ball well. There's a lot of oil in the center of that lane down there, about 45 feet. The ball hits that oil and it doesn't get any friction, and the ball doesn't hit well, as it happened to Bob Learn Jr. earlier. That particular ball, he went more direct, used that oil to benefit the shot, and he got the strike.
36-pin lead now for the #1 seed after a tie after our first game. And the 2 young men, Kerry Kraft and Kurt Pilon, have really contributed with a couple of key strikes here in the second game. This is Mike Taylor for Wagner.
Well, that could have been anything, Bob. It could have been a strike, could have been just what you see there, the 4-pin only, but the 410 was standing briefly, and if he had left the 410, I think that might have been the crusher, the end of the match for their team. But he got the break, and they're still in this.
Very unusual, because they rolled that big game on this lane, Earl, in the semifinals, and now ever since that big game in the semifinals, they've struggled a little bit.
They have.
Again, a reminder, our upcoming events here on the Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. Next up, Chicago, Illinois. Just outside Chicago, Vernon Hills. And if you want to enter, you better hurry, because they go quick. Call Tom Bodeker at 414-423-3415, and he will help you out. In addition, of course, to the trip to Reno to participate in the Grand Championship in June, the winners receive a beautiful pair of Lynn shoes and some keepsake rings. And it looks like this is the club that's going to take home the rings from Keepsake and the shoes from Lynn's and the trip to Reno. Turbo 2-in-1 Grips apparently on their way.
And that's a replay of that last shot, and you can see the difference in that shot and the one he rolled previously. Remember when I told you he kind of fanned it? That one he put something on.
Bob Spaulding in the 9th for Wagner. Maybe too little, too late. Ted Hannes, 1981 ABC doubles champion, 3 PBA national titles. Hannes was a member of the Turbo 2-in-1 Grips team last year, Earl, that participated in Baltimore and finished 2nd. So it looks like he's on the verge of his first team challenge victory.
Now he's got a couple of little twins at home that are going to love to watch this and see this when Dad gets up there and bowls this well.
I wonder if they recognize him, though,
with the beard?
The hair on his face.
Well, that's what you call the weak 10. That ball kind of rolled out for him there, and he crossed a lot of boards. It lost a lot of energy on the way back to the pocket, and you'll watch the pin lay in the channel, doesn't quite get out to get it up to the 10-pin. Here's a look at it again. Ted Hannes, that unique style. You can see he's got a lot of boards to cross to get back, and the pin just kind of lays in the channel. That's the 6-pin. Ted always been a great spare shooter. He can develop a lot of ball speed. He can really get it down there in a hurry.
And his teammates up off the bench.
Well, that's the mark that locks it up, I think, right there. They only needed that one spare in the 9th to lock up the match. So you see the teams checking the score and the overhead scorers. most they can shoot is 193, excuse me, for Wagner's, and at this point it looks like Turbo 2-in-1 grips is pretty well locked this up.
This young man, though, sure been impressive, hasn't he? John Delp for Wagner's.
That's the worst shot he's made in the 2 matches that he's bowled, right there, and generally he's been in the pocket. He's an impressive young player. He's got a lot of ball speed, which is necessary with today's bowling balls, plus the good balance at the foul line. He's very stylish and tremendous roll on the ball. You see him go over there. John goes over to get the other ball, and that's his spare ball, so he can throw it hard and straight. And the reason he had to walk over to get it is because of all the bowling balls these players are using nowadays. The variety of bowling balls, you can't get them all in a rack. It looks like a collection of marbles. I used to have marbles like that when I was a kid. You know, you bag full of marbles. You had your clearies and your puries. And
my mom gave mine away with my baseball cards.
Your $1 million baseball cards.
Nice way to finish for John Delp.
Well, they gave it their all, and they have nothing to be ashamed of, that's for sure. The lane condition was high scoring all week. It got a little tougher during the telecast, as it usually does.
Well, we have our 3rd winner this year. Turbo 2-in-1 grips as Bob Learn Jr. wraps it up. We'll join Saz's Barbecue Sauce of Milwaukee, the winner in Denver, and the Bowlers Journal Club, our winner in Los Angeles, in Reno, Nevada next June for the Grand Championships. We will have 15 regional winners there. Our defending champion will be there, and 16 foreign countries will be represented. A field of 32 in Reno next year. I already can't wait for that. That's going to be tremendous.
I'm looking forward to that because I want to hear you pronounce the names, Bob. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I thought I'd pass that off to you. You are the Hall of Famer.
Some of those names from some of those Scandinavian countries are longer than this table.
Bob Learn gets his strike as congratulations are passed around. That's our winner in Pittsburgh at Bowling City Lanes, our #1 seed. Earl said they were strong, and they were, as they pulled away after that first game tie and win the championship by 44 pins. We'll be back to meet them in just a moment, so please stay with us.